Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Dr. Mohyuddin Mirza, your host for the program called Food for Thought. We have been discussing a wide range of topics on this program, ranging from social to moral and those kind of things. And we are very pleased that some of the feedback we have been getting from you have been very, very positive. Drugs or substance use is an important topic in this society. We call it contemporary society. This is a topic in which daily we find news items of different dimensions, and it appears that most of the countries in the world and nation are facing this challenge of drugs and substance abuse. The real worry is that the use of drugs is affecting young people, and this affects is seen is all spheres of life, of human activities. If young people are influenced by that, then you can imagine the influence on the families, and then of course the communities and nations, and of course it become an international issue as well. I did not realize that substance use problems are more common 2 to 3 times more in men as compared to women, and occur most commonly in young adults. It appears there is a general lack of good information on this subject, and we are very excited and very honored and very pleased that a very experienced person, Sergeant Maurice Brodeur, is able to join us. He is with the Edmonton Police Service. Let's welcome Sergeant Brodeur. Good to see you again.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you? So you have been keeping good and working hard?
Oh, lots of work, lots of work. Drugs, right?
Exactly, yeah. So for our audience, let's define when we talk about drugs or substance abuse, how would you explain to an audience that what does drugs mean?
Well, there's the technical definition. I wrote this down. Would be more from, let's say, a physician.
Right.
A chemical substance used in the treatment, cure, prevention, or diagnosis of disease, or used to otherwise enhance physical or mental well-being. Now that's the good side of drugs.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of drugs, and when people self-medicate because they're in pain or they hurt, that's the bad side of drugs.
Right. So drugs basically could be the one we use in for medicinal purposes, and the other side which you're mentioning is drugs which are drugs in terms of their influence, but they are not considered legal drugs.
That's right.
Yeah.
For example, OxyContin is a huge issue right now.
Right.
And my wife had shoulder surgery at the end of last year, and they prescribed her OxyContin. However, she used it the way it was supposed to be used.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But some people abuse it, and you can sell it. Tylenol 3. You can sell that on the street. And so you can take prescription medication and turn it into that bad definition of a bad drug.
So even some people who use so-called legal drugs, which are used for pain control or other purposes in treatment of diseases, they could be misused by people, and they become in that category.
Yes, they do. Another big issue, and I should mention this, cancer patients. There are some cancer patients that prescribe to a need for a higher dose, but they don't really. And what they do is they sell the remainder. So yes, any drug can be a bad drug if used improperly.
So going back to the term substance abuse, so that is a little different than the drug abuse, or this could also be substance abuse. Any substance which is properly not used is become an abuse then.
Exactly.
So let's go into some of the major categories which we hear. For example, marijuana.
Marijuana, usually the first drug used by anybody. Some people are able to use simple marijuana and not go to anything further. There's a big argument that some people say it's a gateway drug, where it starts you off into using other drugs, and some people say that's not true. However, I will say this: anybody who uses cocaine or crystal meth has invariably used marijuana first, and alcohol.
You have used a very interesting term, gateway drug. So what you mean is that if some people get used to a certain chemical or drug, and then it opens up the areas which you could start getting into worse. So what's the sequence? You said alcohol could be one legal drug, right? Why do people generally use alcohol, for example, in this society?
Well, it's if you go back to the 20s,
right.
Prohibition.
Right.
Alcohol was illegal, just like drugs drugs is.
Right. Yeah.
And what they decided to do is make it legal because it was more accepted then.
Right.
But also too, making it illegal withdrew a lot of money from the crime families.
Right. Right.
Right. Because it became a boost for criminal activity organizations.
Right. Right.
But alcohol generally is used by a lot of people.
Right.
People abuse one drug,
Right.
and we'll say, well, let's
Yeah.
call alcohol a drug.
Yeah.
Because it has the same effects on the brain that a drug
Right.
is.
Right.
Somebody who abuses alcohol could very well abuse marijuana. Marijuana, let's say, as a gateway drug. Well, this makes me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That may make me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they'll try it.
Yeah.
Because they've already broken that threshold.
Yeah. Yeah.
As to what's acceptable and not.
Yeah.
And you're starting.
Right. When I was reading on this topic of drugs and substance abuse, I was awestruck in terms of chemistry of the brain. That the way I was reading was that once you start taking innocent drugs, alcohol, you normally say, okay, people here drink because to relax. Okay, one drink is okay. But slowly as it progresses, then desire to relax more, that's where you go into, and there's a different chemicals involved. For example, one of the chemical phenylethylamine, I was surprised to read that is the chocolates we take, it produces those chemical. Imagine when we sweet, for example, sugar. I think sugar sometimes become addictive as well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. When you take it, you feel so relaxed.
Coffee.
So then, exactly, a coffee is another example. Tea, of course, if you take in large quantity. So those chemicals, phenylethylamines, then they are the precursors for the lot of chemical, your oxytocins and those sort of chemicals. And it's just amazing how human mind and human brain and human body get addicted. So your terms for gateway, so one must be alert as we later on talk about the treatment approaches. So stopping right from the beginning and realizing that this could be a gateway to the other things is a good idea?
I think so, yes. But on a pure statement of fact, I want to know what my brain is like normally.
Right.
I don't want anything to confuse my judgment.
Right, right.
And I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I don't want it altered falsely.
Right, exactly.
And that's what this stuff does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going into marijuana. Marijuana is, of course, a plant origin.
Mm-hmm.
Cannabis. Is that a cannabis family?
Yes, cannabis sativa.
Cannabis sativa. So it goes wild in some country as well. I know when I was growing up in a small village in Pakistan, cannabis was right there.
But yeah, because hemp was a major source of cloth.
Exactly, yeah.
Rope.
Right, yeah.
It's a fantastic product,
right,
legally.
Right, right.
But
so there are, so cannabis which is grown here indoors or wherever is from cannabis family.
Yes.
And then people use it for what purpose?
Well, there's some people, for example, let's say they have a problem eating because they have some kind of a disease, and they have no appetite.
Pain, of course, yeah.
Cannabis, medical cannabis, can be used to enhance your interest in eating, which keeps you healthier.
Right, right.
Some say it helps with glaucoma for your eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are some medical, and it's a drug.
Right.
There are some good sides to everything too.
Yeah, yeah.
But for example, for illegal marijuana, it has been changed so much. I don't know if so much genetically, but for example, in BC and Alberta, the THC content is not the same marijuana that was used in the 70s and 60s.
It is higher?
Very strong. What they've done is through hydroponics, the proper sunlight, the proper nutrients and liquid optimally has produced a very high THC content. And the marijuana produced hydroponically in Alberta and BC, the further you go south in the States, you can trade it straight across for cocaine. The value is that high. But there is some concerns because there are concerns that that high percentage of THC, so much higher, can lead to psychosis and other concerns. It's not the same marijuana people think about back in the 60s.
So the point you are making is that some of those drugs could be legal if they are supervised properly, their dose is monitored, and the misuse is when it's not regulated and when you are able to get intoxicated and you lose your sense of judgment.
Yes. I mean, as a pain controller, let's say, then fine. You're in so much pain.
Right.
You've lost your judgment anyway. For example,
right.
a cancer patient that's
exactly,
terminal.
Yeah, that's right.
But unfortunately, what we have here is we have criminal organizations. And here's the big deal. Some people think marijuana is not a big deal. And I grasp with that myself because I struggle with that myself because alcohol is very bad too.
Exactly.
They're both bad.
That's right, yeah.
But the problem with marijuana is it's controlled by criminal organizations.
Right, right.
It's a big money maker.
Right.
And being a big money maker,
right.
They can be very violent
right.
in protecting their
right, right.
cash crop, if you want to call it.
So beside marijuana, you have used the term hydroponic. That's my specialty, of course. Not
yes,
marijuana,
well, not marijuana, but
greenhouses. But let's talk about the opium-based. So that's other plant then. It's an opium plant.
Yes.
In which is basically coming from various areas of the world. And
Southwest Asia, a big one, the Golden Triangle around
right.
Vietnam.
Right.
Opium.
Yeah.
Poppies.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, opium is also is a medicinal. Lot of painkillers are the opiates. They come from that.
OxyContin is an artificial opiate.
Is it? Oh, I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So pretty powerful one for painkiller as well.
Oh, the best. I remember I had knee surgery back in the early 80s.
Right, right.
And I found I was allergic to Demerol. So they gave me morphine, which is opium. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I felt no pain. The sky was blue. The birds were singing. I thought, wow. I was left with such a sense of well-being. Now, that's okay. I'm a happy guy. I don't need that. But can you see if somebody was depressed
and
or going through difficulties in life and not happy and had a taste of morphine? Would you not want more?
Exactly,
yeah.
And that
it takes
reminds
over your
me,
life.
in the media daily, I see a drug called Prozac, which is used for depression. So once people take that, they go into that feeling of euphoria. You are happy, you're happy-go-lucky, the sky is blue, birds are flying. That give you, all of us probably want to be happy.
Sure.
And once things don't go the way we think go, then we use these things. So
isn't that interesting? And here's society for you. Why do we always have to be happy? Living life are ups and downs.
Right.
That's life.
Exactly.
Life is not perfect.
Exactly.
And yet we have a generation of self-gratification and need to be happy all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
It's made it acceptable.
Exactly.
But what it does is it dulls your normal mind and judgment.
I think in search of happiness, of course, people start into, and it might be very innocent start. You know, a friend could give you something, try it, and then you feel happy, and then they become a gateway chemical. That's
Sure.
Okay. Beside opiate, then I see in the media frequently about crystal meth. What is crystal meth?
That's a bad one. Crystal meth, its main ingredient is ephedrine.
Ephedrine.
Ephedrine, which can be gotten from Sudafed.
Okay.
These allergy medications.
Okay.
Right.
I see.
And so what they do is they they'll buy massive quantities, which you can't in Alberta anymore.
Right.
They've stopped that, where you can't go to the pharmacy and, oh, I have the sniffles, I'd like a case of Sudafed. But what they do is they'll take a lot of packages of these allergy medication and break it down to get the ephedrine out. And it's a complete chemical process. All you need is a pharmacy and a drug and a hardware store.
Right.
Because there's a lot of dangerous chemicals.
Right.
And what I find very disturbing is, let's talk about the environment, which is you have a green shirt. It reminded me.
Yeah.
But the environment. There are 5 pounds of toxic waste, 5 or 6 pounds of toxic waste for every pound of crystal meth produced. And let's face it, this stuff's not produced in a lab. It's just tossed out in a field, in a creek, and it's poisoning our environment.
Right,
And it's very bad, but it's very strong. I've known many cocaine and crack cocaine users that they will use crystal meth, and they'll only use crack cocaine if they can't get crystal meth.
Right.
But crystal meth is such a devastating drug.
Right.
These drugs affect the dopamine levels in the brain. The pleasure center, the sense of well-being, the serotonin, replaces serotonin. And it hijacks it. It kidnaps it. And you are a slave to this drug.
Right. And it's highly addictive?
Very addictive. A lot of people get addicted the first use. It is so powerful, and it generates such a high sense of well-being. That you can see if somebody is unhappy or is unable to face life because of all his problems, takes this, those problems are gone.
Temporarily, of course.
Temporarily, and albeit now replaced by something way worse.
Right. So I know you have been in police for how long now?
23 years.
23 years. And drugs have been your specialty. You had a program as well. Tell us briefly, like talk a little bit more later on.
You know, it's funny. I'm a different specialist. I'm not I never was a drug police officer where I would do undercover drug buys.
Right.
I was more concerned on the social side of it.
Okay, I see.
And how people who've been overcome or hijacked by drugs, living in a neighborhood, could affect the neighborhood.
Right.
And how it's almost like one rotten apple in a barrel of apples can make, right?
Exactly.
So what you want to do is you want to cut that out.
Yeah.
So what I did is I would go into communities that were being beset by drug houses, where people use drugs, and I would get rid of them in many different ways, whether by evictions or help get them foreclosed on, condemn houses. I offered them help first, and there are many cases where I've gone in and gotten people into rehab, which solved the problem also. But more of the social side of the drug effect, and by trying to keep communities safe and removing the problem.
That's a good time to discuss about symptoms. How do I recognize that my friend, my colleague, my son, my daughter, or whatever is addicted, or what are the key symptoms you're looking for?
Probably the biggest thing is there'll be a lot of subtle things. And in your heart, you'll know something's wrong with your friend or your child. You'll know something's wrong. And then when you start to look at a little, because I'm a true believer in trusting how you feel about things.
Gut feeling.
Gut feeling is almost 100%, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of times what we do is we explain away our gut feelings. But in terms of this, let's look at our gut feelings and try to break it down mentally. So you've got a friend now who, let's say, has no interest in going to work.
It's a very simple thing, but
losing weight.
Okay.
Withdrawn. Aggressive. You'll notice maybe if it's crystal meth, there's open sores. Teeth are going bad. That's the later symptoms. Changing friends and acquaintances.
Lack of appetite could be.
Yeah, that's why they'll lose a lot of weight.
And if you ask them any question, they get very defensive, probably.
Very defensive. They'll change the subject. They'll blame something else. There's a lack of. See, the hardest thing in the world is to look within yourself. And see what's wrong with me and what do I need to fix it. It's easier to blame somebody else because that's easy. It's their fault, so I don't have to do anything.
That's easier.
But there was a reason why that person got into drugs in the first place. There's always an underlying reason. Always.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the reason. I know we have been discussing this subject as well, that we are not happy generally. Could be economic reason. Or, I mean, happiness sometimes is so difficult to define even.
True.
But once you, somebody asked me, are you happy? I always use the religious philosophy, Alhamdulillah. Praise to be Allah. No, that's what we were taught at least. I'm sure similar thing probably you learned as well. How are you? Instead of saying, oh, I'm this, I'm that, you say, praise God be praised.
If I'm good, I'm good.
Exactly. Well, what I mean is what comes along, I take it as my destiny. I mean, I'm not necessarily bad way. I mean, what it means is that what God has given me, I'm contented. I'm satisfied at whatever I've achieved. And then if I'm not happy, then of course, instead of going towards religion, people go towards these artificial things then.
Yes, and you know, the answer is always within family, community, religion, which is all the same thing. That answer is there, and people will help you if you have a good relationship. There's always an answer. There's always a way to solve a problem. But many times we just feel overwhelmed.
Absolutely. Even to ask for help is difficult sometimes.
It's difficult. Some men, pride.
Men especially.
Men especially, because men have a lot of pride. Men are, it's very difficult for men to talk about their feelings or ask for help. Very difficult.
And could that be the reason men are 2 to 3 times more
it's a lot of things too. Like you look at men, we are strong. We are the providers. Don't worry about me. We'll fix it. Plus, I need to work a lot to support my family, so maybe we use some drugs to keep us working overtime.
Right.
But also, too, young men are risk takers.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
High testosterone level,
Yeah.
more willing to take risks and try different things.
Right.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
And that leads right into the gateway drug and bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. So at that young age, some of the symptoms you have described, I think are very valuable for our listener to be alert on that. If there is a change in behavior, change in mood, the grades in the school are dropping.
Yeah.
Your child is generally disinterested in life as well. Sometimes he's quite euphoric, and so are those
very, very big changes in moods, different friends.
Yeah.
Come home, lock themselves in the room.
Yeah. And also, if you're alert enough to look at the marijuana smell. Excuse me. So that's a very typical smell that so parents have to be alert as well.
Yeah, it's a strong organic smell.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm, and to me, it's very similar to freshly cut alfalfa.
Really?
For making hay.
Right. Yeah.
Well, not exactly the same, but very close.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And smoked. Is much sweeter than a cigarette smell.
Yeah. The organic aspect is very, very interesting.
Yeah. And at the end, doctor, your gut knows something's wrong.
Exactly.
So trust your gut.
Yeah. But at that point, if we find that my son, my daughter, or whosoever doing it, how to confront it? You have a lot of experience with these things. So instead of offending that person and withdrawn, what will be a key to convince that person and how to win their confidence? I know you have done it many times in rehab programs. So what's the starting point?
Well, the first thing I'm thinking about, as soon as you said that, what I would do is walk in and say, "Are you okay?" Come on a side of compassion, because remembering, most often, there's an underlying cause of pain why somebody does something.
Exactly.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I've been concerned that things have changed with you. Your grades are dropping. You have different friends. You seem not to spend much time with us, and I'm worried.
Right.
I'm really worried. Your mother and I are worried.
Right.
Or your husband and I are worried.
Right.
What's going on? And wait for a second. And if they continue to lie, you'll know your children.
Yeah.
And then maybe ask a little more stringent, a little stronger.
Right.
And never ever feel that you cannot search your child's room. Search your child's room.
That's the important point, because right now the question of human rights and it's my room, you can't go in.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are allowed by law to search your child's room.
I never even worried about that. I just know I would do it. You're in my house. You're a minor.
Right.
You're under 18 years old.
Right.
And I'm responsible for you.
Right.
And your well-being. And I would go in, and if they give you a hard time, well, I was cleaning your room and I found this. But it doesn't matter.
Right.
Search the room.
Right.
You'll find something.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if your child says, well, why are you searching more? You can't do that.
Yeah.
Ignore that stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. That's just a smoke screen to hide the real problem.
Right.
Never get swayed by that.
Right. Okay.
You are on a mission to help your child be better.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what they say.
Yeah.
You're
So even before we have reached that stage, there must be few steps even before that. Being alert, for example, know who your children's friends are. Does he or she spend too much time outside at night time? I don't know you recall or not, when I was growing up, there was a sort of curfew.
Oh yes, absolutely.
That when there's a darkness, Satan is outside.
Oh, it kind of is.
Exactly.
I'm very busy at nighttime.
Exactly.
Fighting Satan. But regardless of whether the government puts on a curfew,
right.
You as a parent should put on a curfew.
Yeah, no, I'm talking of parent, not the government. I'm talking of the parent. Are you alert enough that if your child is not coming home in time, are you alert? I know my mom could not sleep until I have come to the home. But it was a disciplined life. After last prayer, you are home. That's it.
It's funny you mention that. My father, and he's in his 70s now, he told me this later.
Right.
Because I left home early. I left home when I was 18. I joined the army, so I was not. I didn't go through that. But my brother and my sister. Well, not so much of a sister, but my brother. He'd come home back home for a while and wanted to raise some money.
Right.
And he was on the farm, and he was in his early 20s.
Right.
So he's an adult.
Right.
He'll go out with his friends on a Friday night, maybe stay out till 2, 3 in the morning playing cards or whatever.
Right.
And my father told me later in life, he says, I could never fall asleep until I knew all my children are home.
Absolutely.
And that's important because my parents, I'm 48 years old, my parents still think of me as their child.
And that always will be the case.
Yes, and I'm going through that now. I've got a 24, 20, and an 18-year-old.
Right, right.
And I tell them that. It always matters. You're always my child.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's an important point for our viewers, that being alert right from the beginning. Once the problem starts, of course, different strategies have to be used.
Yeah.
But being alert what's happening is absolutely essential.
If you're alert, you catch it early.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is crucial. If you catch it early, you can solve it faster.
You solve, exactly. Yeah.
And so yes, there should be curfews.
Yeah.
My son is 24. He's back in the house, but he's getting married. He's moving out here in June. But because it's expensive.
Exactly.
24 years old.
Right.
Has a fiance.
Right.
He works.
Right.
When he leaves the house.
Right.
And he's not going to work. He says, "Dad, I'm going to blah, blah, blah."
Uh-huh.
He still lets me know where he's going because that's respect.
And he's 24 years old.
He doesn't have to. I would never say, no, you cannot go there.
Right, yeah.
But he has the respect and love and admiration to still let me know because he knows I'll worry.
Yeah. And how did
that's
you...
excellent.
Yeah, how did you create that? I think parents should know this aspect, that in this society even, people like you exist, whose children are brought up automatically, I will be at that number, or I'll be there, this is what I'm doing. I think we have to create that.
We do. You know how you create that?
Mm-hmm.
You insist on it. By explaining it, though.
Right.
I remember when they turned 17, or, well, I'm an adult, I should... No.
Yeah.
It's not about that, my son.
Yeah.
I worry.
Yeah.
I worry about you, and I just need to know where you are.
Right.
Just so I can feel better.
Right.
That's all. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about me.
Yeah. And that's a very important point to learn about it, that how to explain to the people. You can't be a dictator to your children.
There's a certain age where your children won't accept that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because they're, I remember my son, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
I remember one day I thought I was alone at home because I work shift work.
Right.
My son's 14 and he's 6 foot, 220 pounds, played football. I didn't know he was home.
Right.
So I was in the kitchen, I walked around the corner, I almost bumped into this man. What's this man doing in my house? Oh, it's my son. And I just, it struck me.
Right.
I was stunned.
Right.
He's a man. So therefore you have to treat him
man to man, exactly.
It's hard being a parent.
Yeah.
Because it's in your heart, eh?
Exactly, yeah. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the family as well. When you go out and you have been treating, you have been in this area of drugs, some rehab, we'll talk a little bit more later. But what kind of people you find? I mean, is it a single family, children? I don't know, I've ever shared with you that I was working as a volunteer in the jail as well for 10 years and found a lot of people there who were coming from broken families, single parent families. Any observation on that?
Yes. There are more single family or single parent families than there's ever been.
Right, yeah.
Marriages break up so quickly. And it does make parenting harder.
Right.
And I would say it's easier to not be able to be as alert as you can be to see that happen.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's no fault of the parent. One parent trying to raise 2-3 children and working is very difficult.
Absolutely, yeah.
My wife and I are celebrating 25th year of wedding anniversary, marriage.
Right.
And we look at each other sometime and we cringe at the thought. Exactly. Can you imagine being a single parent?
Yeah.
It would be so difficult.
Exactly.
It's difficult raising children these days because not only, it's not just about, when they're very young, you control everything in your house.
Yeah.
Once they start going to school and other friends and get older, there's so many influences, bad and good.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately for parents, sometimes it seems they're all bad. Then you do have some cultural concerns. Aboriginally, yes. You know, there's still a lot of issues that need to be resolved. When you look back at the residential schools, I think it started there.
Well, you hold on this thought a little bit. I'd like to, in the next program, I'd like to talk a little bit on this family. Thank you very much. We appreciate you are able to come. I'm Dr. Mohyuddin Mirza. So basically, in this program, very valuable information for you. What is a red flag with your family, with your children, with your friends, what goes wrong. So hopefully, you identify those symptoms and take some proactive measures. I know some help is available from outside as well, so we'll talk inshallah more. This is program Food for Thought. Our subject has been drugs and substance abuse, and inshallah we'll talk to you more. I'm Dr. Mohyuddin Mirza again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.